Hi, in this video, we're going to explore something called the discriminant. And the discriminant allows us to work out how many solutions a quadratic equation has. Now, for the moment, we'll just calculate the discriminant, and then in further videos, we explore how we're going to use it. But let's just say we were trying to solve this quadratic equation here, x squared plus 3x plus 5 equals 0. Now, it doesn't factorise nicely, because if you tried to factorise it, you'd find two numbers that add to give 3 and times to give 5. There are no two whole numbers that do that, so you can't factorise it. So what you'd have to use is something called the quadratic formula, which is this. So if you had ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, then the solutions to this equation would be x is equal to minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And we explore the quadratic formula in a previous video. So do watch that if you're not familiar with the quadratic formula. Now, let's suppose this thing under the square root, the b squared minus 4ac, we'll say negative, and that's possible. The b squared minus 4ac might be negative. Then what would happen is you'd have the square root of a negative number, and ordinarily you can't do that. There's no real number which is the square root of a negative number, so you can't usually do that. And basically that would just mean that x would have no solutions. So it's very possible for a quadratic equation to have no solutions. And if, for example, the b squared minus 4ac was 0, whether you add the 0 or minus the 0, because remember this plus or minus symbol means we get different solutions for x, whether we add this or subtract this. But whether you add 0 or subtract 0 doesn't make a difference. So you'd end up with one solution for x. And as I say, we're going to explore this in later videos. But this yellow thing here is known as the discriminant. So that's known as the discriminant. So let me just make a kind of key note there. We sometimes refer to the discriminant as the Greek letter capital delta, which is like a triangle. So b squared minus 4ac is the discriminant. And that's what we're going to use in the couple of questions we're about to do. So that is the important thing for this video. Right, so let's look at this first one. Calculate the discriminant of x squared minus 7x minus 5. Now, we don't currently have a number in front of the x squared, so let's put a little 1 there, because 1x squared means the same as x squared. And remember, the discriminant is when we have like ax squared plus bx plus c. So a is the coefficient of the x squared term. Remember, coefficient just means the number in front of a particular algebraic term. So the a is the number in front of the x squared. So we can see that a is equal to 1, this number here. B is the coefficient of x, so the number in front of the x term. So that we can see is minus 7. And c is the constant term, the term without any variables in it. So we can see that's minus 5. So minus 5 like that. So we said the discriminant was b squared minus 4ac. So let's just substitute into that. And we're going to get b squared is minus 7 squared. Whenever you have a negative number to a power, always put it in a bracket. That avoids problems with orders of operations, BIDMAS kind of stuff. And then we're subtracting 4 times a times c. Now, I sometimes like to put these as brackets. 4 times a, which is 1, times by c. Yep. And you could just put that into your calculator, but I'm going to do it myself. Minus 7 squared is positive 49. And then it subtract 4 times 1 times negative 5. That will be negative 20. So we end up with 49 plus 20, which is 69. And as I say, we'll see in later videos the significance of that value, whether it's positive or negative or 0, what significance that has. What about the next one? Now, you have to be careful here, because this is not in the order summing x squared plus summing x plus something like the previous one was. So two ways to deal with this. You could just write it so it's in the right order. So we've got the x squared term first, so minus x squared, and let's put a 1 there. We've got the plus 4x, and we've got the minus 4. So that's exactly the same, but I've just reordered the terms so it's in the form ax squared plus bx plus c. And now we can read off the a, b, and c. So a is negative 1, the coefficient of x squared. B is the 4, and C is the minus 4. And I always recommend writing out the A equals B equals C equals before you substitute into the discriminant. So then the discriminant is B squared minus 4AC. That is equal to 4 squared minus 4 times A times by minus 4. So that's 16 subtract, and that's going to be 16. And that just gives you 0. And again, in later videos, we'll see the significance of a discriminant being 0.